The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will please retire to the gallery. Good morning, senators. Good morning, guests. Good morning. The senators and all in attendance, if you are able, please stand. We will be led in prayer this morning by the Reverend H. Carson Ryan of Union Presbyterian Seminary in Richmond. Following the prayer, everyone will please remain standing, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States by our Senate page, Joanna Mann of Culpeper.
Pray with me. O God, creator of heaven and earth, and the one to whom we turn at all times, as we begin this 24th day of this legislative term, we pray, moving towards crossover day, your Spirit continues to guide the senators. While it be admirable to pray that we not be political in our actions, we are, after all, politicians. And being political is not bad, provided that we're concerned about the welfare of the people of the Commonwealth, provided we are civil in our discourse and conversations, and provided we're not here just for our own well-being and advancement. So remind us of our calling to lead this Commonwealth in every law we pass and every word we utter, so that we may gain the respect and confidence of the people whom we represent. May it be so this day and throughout this term, for our prayers are for your sake and for your glory. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President. Senate Journal for Thursday, February 2nd, 2023.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 3.
Ayes 35, noes 3. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. Chair calls on the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
House of Delegates.
The question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All those in favor of waiving the reading from the House of Delegates will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 4.
Ayes 34, noes 4. The reading of the communication is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
I do not have any, Madam President.
We have now arrived at the time in our morning hour where we will hear about who all of our guests are. And the normal procedure is that your senator will stand and introduce you. I will make my remarks, and we will hold our applause until after our remarks, my remarks. And so with that, I now call on Senator McClellan, the senior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This morning's prayer was given by the Reverend Carson Ryan, a retired Presbyterian minister whose last position was General Presbyter and Stated Clerk for the Presbytery of the James in Central Virginia. He is currently teaching Presbyterian Church Government at Union Presbytery Seminary and has completed the paralegal training course. And I ask that we give him a warm Senate welcome.
Please stand for Ryan. Thank you for your prayer. Thank you for coming and praying over us. And thank you for what you do in the community to help so many others. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the gentleman from Franklin.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of two introductions.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. In the gallery today, it's my pleasure to introduce to you a wonderful group of students from Patrick County. They hail from Blue Ridge Elementary School in the small town of Ararat, right there in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains in the foothills of Patrick County. Blue Ridge Elementary is a part of the Patrick school system, a school system that I am very much proud of. Despite minimal funding, and we always try to get more funding for our schools, especially in our rural areas, our underserved areas, and our inner cities, this public school system has gone way above and beyond to meet the educational needs of its students in Patrick County, especially post-pandemic of the COVID pandemic. In 2022, the Patrick County school system ranked 7th in the Commonwealth in terms of its ability to return to pre-pandemic SOL scoring. That is an incredible achievement, Madam President, for both students and their teachers and their parents who attend Blue Ridge Elementary School. We have with us today some of the teachers, parents, and children who made that ranking possible. These students and their parents and their teachers and the principal have traveled 4 hours to be with us here today. They came yesterday, and we had a very good discussion about the legislature and the importance of being involved in government even at a young age. And they were asking brilliant questions, Madam President. I was quite impressed. And this trip is helping them round off their education when it comes to the legislative system here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So, Madam President, I would ask that you extend the warmest welcome of the State Senate to the Blue Ridge Elementary School students, their parents, teachers, and principal. Thank you, Madam President.
Please rise. Good morning to all of you young people. And all hail to you for having increased your SOL scores. Thank you for your diligent work. We need you because you are going to be our future leaders. So thank you for tending to your studies. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam President. My second introduction, members of the Senate and the gallery, is an organization that I meet with every year. And it's surprising because, you know, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. But I think there's always much that we can learn from each other, no matter what side of the aisle we sit on, no matter what issues are important to us that we may have contrarian views. As you say, Madam President, it is better to disagree without being disagreeable, because through those conversations we can find what we actually agree on and work together on those issues. So, Madam President, members of the Senate, today I introduce the representatives of Virginia Organizing, who made the trip today from Wythe and Carroll counties to visit the Capitol and to advocate for affordable housing and higher funding for our schools. Virginia Organizing is a nonpartisan statewide grassroots organization founded in 1995, dedicated to promoting social and economic justice for all Virginians. Their work is unique because they believe that people are the experts of their own circumstances and should be empowered to take action in local, state, and national policy making. So, Madam President, I would ask that you would extend to them the warm welcome of the Senate, the members of Virginia Organizing from Carroll County and Wythe County. Thank you.
Please rise. There you are. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being a part of the conversation in advocating for your various positions and for helping others, because sometimes we don't hear all the voices and we're not sure how to move. But thank you for being in that space. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the gentleman from Fairfax City.
Thank you, Madam President. Rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I want to introduce a group of very special friends that made the trip down here this morning. They came down from all over Northern Virginia, at least 50, and I'm going to say maybe closer to 100. I know a lot of them are in the gallery, but that is Virginians for Data Center Reform. They came down to testify for Senate Bill 1078 and Senate Joint Resolution 240. We went 1 for 2, but that's okay. That's a good start. We're just beginning. A lot of good people up there, Madam President. I know you're going to get to know them as we all are, and I ask you to give them the warm welcome of the Senate.
Please rise. If I may ask, how many of you, this is your first time advocating for a bill? Wonderful. You're needed here, and now that you've had the first experience, we expect it won't be your last. You are part of our process after all. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senior senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to request a leave of absence.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. I request a leave of absence for my seatmate, the senator from Loudoun, who is away on pressing personal business.
Without objection, the record will so state. Thank you, Senator. Is there any other business to come before the morning hour? Hearing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Friday, February 3rd, 2023. Uncontested calendar. Senate bill on third reading. Senate Bill 1155, a bill relating to Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services, provider licensing inspections. And we have a committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Mason, the gentleman from Williamsburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move. No?
We're reconsidering engrossment.
Beg your pardon. Beg your pardon. She just brought me a script and I blew it.
It's all right, Senator.
Then I move that we reconsider the vote by which was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Very good move, Senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 1155, the vote by which it was engrossed, be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The bill is reconsidered. Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that we reconsider the vote by which the committee amendment was agreed to.
The question is, shall the vote by which the committee amendment was agreed to be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The committee amendment vote is reconsidered.
Thank you,
Senator
Madam
Mason.
President. Now, Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move to adopt the committee amendment.
The question is, with the recommendation that the committee amendment be rejected, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The committee amendment is rejected. Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, Madam President, I move that we adopt the Committee on Education and Health substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Education and Health be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move we engross and advance the bill to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading. Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move we suspend the rules and dispense with the third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading be dispensed with. Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The rules are suspended and the third constitutional reading is dispensed with.
Thank you for your patience, Madam President. Now, Madam President, I move the bill pass. And speaking of the motion,
the senator has the floor.
Madam President, Section 1 bill that asks for us to review the number of inspections throughout the course of the year for licensed facilities from DBHDS and DSS and DMAS. With that, Madam President, I ask the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Regular calendar. Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 1227, a bill relating to Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation, effect of criminal convictions on licensure, data to be included in biennial report.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President, and good morning to you, or good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Madam President, I rise to speak on behalf of Senate Bill 1227, move for passage, and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the body, Madam President, my bill today simply seeks to revise the current law regarding licensure of occupational licensure for people that are seeking those respective licenses. And the purpose is so that we would encourage people that have a criminal record to apply for a job, hopefully get that license, get that job, and become purposeful. This bill is narrower than the one that passed this body last year, Senate Bill 409, unanimously. It was narrower because when it went over to the other house, they had some questions with it. And it's real simple. If you want people to be successful when they get out of jail, you know what they have to have? They got to have a lot of things, but one of the key ingredients is a job. If they have a job, they are much more likely to be purposeful and productive. And they struggle through life, Madam President, if they don't have that job. I think the General Assembly should regularly reevaluate our laws to ensure that people with a criminal record get a second chance. And that's what this law presents us the opportunity to do. So 4 quick things that this bill does. Number 1, it ensures that occupational licensing boards do not deny an applicant access to the licensed profession simply because of an old non-sexual misdemeanor. If the person has remained completely crime-free, if they've showed that they are, I thought I saw a signal. Okay. Oh, if they've shown that they have rehabilitated themselves, let's give them their license. And because I may have already have the votes necessary, I won't go through items 2, 3, or 4 unless I'm asked. That's the bill, Madam President. I move for passage of it.
Chair recognizes Senator Normand, the gentleman from James City County.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman yield for a question, please?
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield.
The senator yields. Senator Normand has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Is it my understanding that the legislative intent of the senator restricts these provisions to the Department of Occupational Regulation licensure issues and that it not be portable to any other state agency that is not explicitly articulated in the 4 corners of the bill?
I would tell the senator that is my intent.
I appreciate the gentleman. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 5.
Ayes 34, noes 5. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1394, a bill relating to removal of trash and clutter from property, localities, in Planning District 22.
Chair recognizes
There is
Senator.
a floor substitute.
Madam President, Senate Bill 1394 requires the same legislative gymnastics so expertly performed by the gentleman from Williamsburg, and that's a Monday thing. So I'd ask that it go by for the day.
Without objection and the praise of your colleagues, it goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 846, a bill relating to background checks, peer recovery specialists, barrier crime exceptions.
Chair recognizes Senator Favola, the gentlelady from Arlington.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that Senate Bill 846 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. What this bill does is it allows for a felony possession of a controlled substance to be removed as a barrier crime once an individual has done his time, has completed his sentence. And then if the individual actually completes training to be a peer recovery specialist, it would allow that individual to apply to be a peer recovery specialist in a service provider, with a service provider or in a facility that serves adults. So the removal of that felony possession of a controlled substance as a barrier crime relates only to a peer recovery specialist. And, Madam President, this bill does multiple things. It actually provides a pathway forward for individuals who have become rehabilitated, can demonstrate that they have actually been clean for a period of time, that they don't have any issues in terms of being able to serve another individual who may be experiencing the same trauma and the same issues related to substance use disorder. So it increases our pipeline. We're limited with the number of professionals who can serve individuals who are recovering from a substance use disorder. And it also allows a pathway forward for individuals who are being released from our jails. I think this is a really good bill. It has a companion bill in the House, which is moving along smoothly. I do hope it is the wish of the body to adopt this measure. Thank you, Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator McDougall, the gentleman from Hanover.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I want to thank the senator for her efforts. As this bill came through the Rehabilitation and Committee, some of us expressed concerns about the number of barrier crimes that were removed. The amendments that are now on the bill make this a very positive way for peer recovery specialists to be able to impact the communities and share back some of the challenges that they have endured and how to overcome those.
The question is, shall the bill pass? The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 883, a bill relating to standards for accreditation, school accreditation review frequency.
Chair recognizes Senator Newman, the gentleman from Bedford.
Madam President, at the request of another member, I would ask that the bill go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 883 goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 907, a bill relating to elections, protection of election officials penalty.
Senator Spruill, the gentleman from northern Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, sir.
Bless
Thank
your
you.
Heart, bless your heart. Senate Bill 907 move to pass it. Speaking to that measure.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, 907 add election officials and any employee of an elected official to the list of individuals that may provide a P.O. box instead of their current street address for their voting registration record. This will protect them from their personal information being furnished as part of a voter registration list provided by a third party. It clarified that it's against the law to bribe, intimidate, and threaten any member. That's why this bill was brought forward. I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 6.
Ayes 33, no 6. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 915, a bill relating to state parks, Virginia National Guard passport established, free entry and parking.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move for passage of SB 915 and speaking to that measure.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the body, this bill simply creates a passport for an active Virginia National Guard member to utilize Virginia state parks free of admission and free of parking. The question came up during one of the committee meetings. Did it ensure that they get free overnight accommodations? It doesn't. Free passage, free parking, that's it. Move for passage, Madam President.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 957, a bill relating to Prescription Drug Affordability Board and fund established, drug cost affordability review.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the gentleman from Fairfax City.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass and speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is Senate Bill 957, which establishes the Prescription Drug Affordability Board. Right now, in our state budget, we spend about $2.4 billion on prescription drugs, about $400 million through our state employee plan and about $2 billion through Medicaid. This would give us a means to control that cost by taking what are called the UPLs, or upper price limits, that will be set by federal Medicare as a result of the Manchin-Schumer legislation passed in 2022, and actually use that to control our own state drug prices, control those drug prices. Of course, we could also use that as a retail market. It would be up to the PDAB, the Prescription Drug Affordability Board, to adopt those. They're limited into what drugs they can look at. They typically tend to be high-demand, high-cost drugs. And this is supported by AARP for obvious reasons, and I'd ask that you vote for the bill. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Ruff, the gentleman from Mecklenburg.
Thank you, Madam President. I speak in opposition to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
The legislation on the floor has some serious implications I think we need to consider. We all want to lower the price of health care for Virginians, but I'm not sure that this is the right vehicle. Aside from the fact that it creates more government and that our neighbors to the north in Maryland have had it since 2019 and have not saved any patients any money, there is another reason to pause before we vote on this. I sit on the MEI Commission, and the market for attracting pharmaceutical manufacturers and clinical trials is incredibly competitive among the states. Let me give you some facts. Currently, we have a very dynamic, growing industry in Virginia. They employ over 40,000 jobs, and they invest $267 million in clinical trial sites and $695 million in total economic impact for clinical trials. Virginia has Merck Manufacturing in the Valley, which is currently expanding with a $1 million capital investment. We have an incredible project in Petersburg relating to the pharmaceutical industry, which has the potential to be a game changer for that area. If Virginia is going to compete for these jobs in this industry, do we want to enact this type of legislation that sends the wrong message to the industry? This is not just a theory. You need to only look at Europe to see what is happening in the industry. The Wall Street Journal last week ran an article that detailed how price controls are reducing access to treatment, and companies are looking to prioritize their investments elsewhere as a result. Do we need to work to control cost? Yes, of course we do. But this sends the wrong message.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson.
Just very briefly, Your Honor, Madam President, I want to thank my colleague for raising some points, and I'll just respond very briefly. Maryland has had a prescription drug board since 2019, and until the federal government decided on the legislation which creates UPLs, frankly, there wasn't much for them to do. But starting next year, we will know what the market price of these drugs is because the federal government will be setting it through Medicare. And the idea that we would not use that knowledge to save money for our taxpayers and for our citizens, particularly our senior citizens, would frankly be political malpractice. So I don't think we're discouraging manufacturers from coming here. We're just telling them we're not going to overpay for your products, just like we would for any other manufacturer. I do believe this bill makes sense, and whether we have a Republican or Democratic governor, I think the board's going to work. I appreciate the vote.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 25, noes 14.
Ayes 25, noes 14. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1124, a bill to require the Board of Education to make recommendations to the General Assembly for amendments to the standards of quality to establish standards for the maintenance and operations, renovation, and new construction of public elementary and secondary school buildings.
Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the gentleman from Franklin County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Senate Bill 1124 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the Senate, Senate Bill 1124 is a culmination of a lot of hard work by the School Modernization Commission, chaired by our friend, the senior senator from Richmond. Together, we've worked very hard for many years on bringing attention to the need to modernize our schools. And the question has always been, well, what is a modern school? What is a modernized school? Now, the easy definition can always be found when you build a brand new school. That's a modern school. But a lot of our schools that are crumbling around the ears of our students are in rural areas, inner cities, and a lot of them can't be replaced with a brand new school, but they can be modernized. But what is the standard of modernization? That is what this bill tries to address. And so it simply requires that the Virginia Board of Education make recommendations to this General Assembly for amendments to the SOQ to establish standards for the maintenance and operation, renovation, and new construction of public elementary, secondary school, and secondary school buildings. The bill requires that these recommendations include standards for the percentage of current replacement value of a public school building, that a school board should budget for the maintenance and operations of their buildings, and other such standards as the board may deem appropriate. This bill also requires the board to solicit input of the relevant stakeholders throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia and the public in developing these recommendations of determination of the standards of what is a modern school. And it requires the board to submit its recommendations to the chairman of the House Committee on Education and the Senate Committee on Education and Health no later than the December 1st of this year. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is an important first step of modernizing our schools in inner cities and in rural areas and making sure that every child gets the same high-quality education as the child who resides and learns in a modern school in our more affluent areas. And for this reason, Madam President, I now renew my motion that Senate Bill 1124 pass.
question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1136, a bill relating to prohibition on employers seeking wage or salary history of prospective employees, cause of action, civil penalty.
Chair recognizes Senator Boysko, the gentlelady from northwestern Fairfax County.
Good afternoon, Madam President.
Good afternoon.
I move the bill pass and speak into the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a bill that we passed out of the Senate last year that would ban asking an employee, a prospective employee, their salary history and to set a salary range. The reason that I'm doing this, and 19 other states have done this around the Commonwealth on a bipartisan manner, is because today, even though we have language in the federal and state law, we still have a very persistent wage gap. And removing the salary history has been shown to be successful. Women typically in Virginia still make 80 cents for every dollar paid to a man. The national figure is 82 cents. Black women in Virginia typically make 60 cents for every dollar paid to a white man, and that national figure is 63 cents. And a Latina woman typically makes about 54 cents for every dollar paid to a white man, and the national figure is 55 cents. And, you know, we know that there are many women and minorities who are heads of their household. This bill has been shown that it closes the loophole and strengthens enforcement of equal pay laws. And I ask that you pass the bill. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 18.
Ayes 20, noes 18. The bill passes.
Madam President.
Chair, for what purpose does the gentleman from Lynchburg rise?
To state that having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed Senate Bill 957, that we reconsider that vote so that someone can change their vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 957 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. The question is, Chair, for what purpose does the gentleman from Fairfax City rise? The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 26, noes 13.
Ayes 26, noes 13. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1142, a bill relating to sports betting adjusted gross revenue.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the bill pass and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The bill before you adjusts a little bit what we did from the last budget year, and the amendment coming out of Senate Finance and Appropriations basically allows only 1 year if a new licensee comes into the sports betting market to allow them to establish within the market and deduct those promotions. After that, it reduces that reduction to 1.75 of total wagers. And then 1.75 would currently apply also to anybody who's already in the market beyond that 1-year mark, Madam President. Move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 7.
Ayes 31, no 7. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1189, a bill relating to disability insurance, disability arising out of childbirth.
Chair recognizes Senator Donovan, the gentlelady from Enrico.
Thank you, Madam President. Can this go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1189 goes by for the day.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 1266, a bill relating to shared solar programs minimum bill capacity.
Chair recognizes Senator Somerville, the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass. And speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill has to do with shared solar in a Phase 1 utility, which, for those of you who don't know what Phase 1, Phase 2 is, Phase 2 is basically Dominion. Phase 1 is APCO. This bill has nothing to do with APCO. Only has to do with customers in Dominion territory. And it basically comes back and adjusts some of the law that we passed back in 2020 due to a decision by the State Corporation Commission that happened about 3 months ago about the minimum bill that shared solar subscribers are required to pay. The bill basically, and the bill is a work in progress. I'll also say that. You're probably going to see this come back with some changes if it comes back. But I would just say that, number one, the minimum bill has to be calculated on a volumetric basis instead of based on the subscription size of the minimum bill customer. Number two, it requires the State Corporation Commission, when determining the minimum bill, to also calculate the actual benefits of solar and what those benefits are, and then subtract that out of the minimum bill. And then it also increases the size of the program from 150 megawatts to 700 megawatts, and the low-income program from 45 to 210. The reason that's important is because the low-income program that we adopted is basically swallowing the entire program. It's the only part of this that's being deployed, and it's creating a problem. The intent of the bill was never to just be a low-income program, and this expands it to make it available to the rest of us. That's basically what the bill does, and as I said, it's a work in progress. You'll probably see it come back if it comes back, and I hope we pass it and keep the process going.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 24, noes 15.
Ayes 24, noes 15. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1323, a bill to direct the State Corporation Commission to establish for certain electric utilities annual energy efficiency savings targets for certain customers.
Chair recognizes Senator McClellan, the senior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass. And speaking to that.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill would create a performance standard for Dominion's energy efficiency programs, which they currently have for low-income, elderly, disabled, and veteran customers. This will ensure that these customers will see savings in their electric bills through programs such as weatherization that will help to address the demand side and reduce the energy that they use, resulting in lower bills. And with that, I ask the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1333, a bill relating to solar and energy efficiency projects for low-income and moderate-income Virginians.
Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senior senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass. And speaking to that motion,
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill seeks to ensure that Virginia takes advantage of the billions of federal dollars that are now available to support investments in solar and battery storage. It expands the powers and the duties of the Clean Energy Advisory Board, which was created in 2019 with unanimous votes from both chambers. So under current law, the board may only disperse loans and rebates for clean energy projects for low to moderate income households, and this bill now allows the board to apply for and to disperse grants as well. And this bill has no fiscal impact. By contrast, it would actually give Virginia access to nearly $700 million in federal dollars and infuse that money into the Clean Energy Advisory Board and allow more low-income Virginians to participate in our clean energy transition. And so I renew my motion that this bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 26, noes 13.
Ayes 26, noes 13. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1409, a bill relating to Medicare supplement policies for certain individuals under age 65.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the gentleman from southern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill, Senate Bill 1409, is dealing with the issue of Medigap health insurance policies for certain individuals under the age of 65. When the Medicare program was established in the 1960s, it really targeted the people who were age 65 or older to provide them with health insurance coverage. But just a couple of years after that program, Medicare, got established, there was a special provision that was added to the Medicare plan, and that was to provide full coverage for individuals with end-stage renal disease, kidney disease, inadequately functioning kidneys, to be able to help people in that situation while under age 65. So right now, Medicare does cover 80% of the cost of care for someone who has end-stage renal disease and is under the age of 65. The challenge, however, is that there's 20% that's not covered by Medicare for the individuals who are under the age of 65. And the co-payments payments for care for the 20% can go as high as $18,000 a year and become prohibitive for some individuals. What this would do would be to have Medigap policies available in Virginia to provide coverage for the individuals, for the 20% that's not covered by Medicare for individuals with end-stage renal disease. And with that explanation of what we're trying to do here, and there are a couple of states that have already done this, I would ask that the bill be adopted.
Chair recognizes Senator Cosgrove, the senior senator from Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President. Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Will the senator yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields. Senator Cosgrove has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I thank the gentleman. I didn't see anywhere in your bill, is there any provision in this legislation that will either reduce or eliminate Joe Namath and J.J. Walker from pushing this day and night and day?
No.
Senator Barker.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Donovan, the gentlelady from Enrico.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purposes of a question. Would the patron yield for a question?
Will Senator Barker rise for a question?
Certainly.
Gentleman rises.
Thank you,
Senator Donovan has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President and Senator. I have always great concern about mandated benefits because one of the absolute charges that I know I was given for my constituents when I came up here is to make health care and health insurance less expensive. Do you have an idea of how much this might raise premiums for all Virginians who will help shoulder the expense for those who I certainly have empathy for and hope would be, would have the assets that they need. But I am very concerned about increasing the health insurance for all of my other constituents.
Senator Barker has the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Donovan, the senator from Henrico. There was a study done was done by the Health Management Associates just last year on the impact in states that have this type of operation and coverage there, and the effect that it's had upon the cost of health insurance has been only about $2 per month.
Madam Chairman, further question?
Further question, Senator Barker.
Certainly.
Thank you, Madam
Senator
President.
Donovan has the floor.
Per month, per insured in Virginia?
Senator Barker.
Yes, that is correct.
Madam President, speak to the bill.
The senator may continue.
I again express great empathy for, the concern. That I know that the senator is from Southern Fairfax. Yes, is expressing in an attempt to help these individuals, but. This is possibly the biggest Christmas tree in the entire state of Virginia. And every time we add mandated benefits to the code and make all of the private health insurances carry them and provide them, we are raising everybody's health insurance. And we really need to be stalwart about not doing so. And I would encourage you to vote against this bill despite its good intention.
Senator Barker.
If there's no one else who wishes to speak, I'll close out now.
You have the floor, sir.
This bill is one that is targeted very specifically. It's not going to raise the premiums across the board, but it's only for the Medigap plans there that are covering things that are not covered when they as part of the Medicare program. And so it's just the 20% for those people who have the Medigap policies. It's not other plans that are covered at all. And the vast majority of people have regular plans and are not on a Medigap plan.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 4, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 34, noes 4, Rule 36-1. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1447, a bill to direct the State Corporation Commission to conduct a proceeding to establish limitations on disconnections of utility service, investor-owned electric utilities, electric cooperatives, municipal electric utilities, natural gas utilities, water utilities, and wastewater utilities.
Senator Edwards.
Madam President, Senate Bill 1447 was amended as a substitute yesterday, and it's been changed dramatically to a Section 1 bill only. What it does is it was initiated because the State Corporation Commission did a study last year, 2022, on shutoff charges for citizens that didn't pay their bills during extreme weather. The bottom line is the environmental groups, the gas, electric, and water utilities all work together to find a consensus to this important issue. So the stakeholders and the utilities spoke in favor of the bill, and there's no opposition on the part of the utilities. All the bill does is direct the State Corporation Commission to formalize recommendations to as a result of a recent review of gaps in shut-off policies of Virginia utilities. In 2022, I mentioned the State Corporation Commission did a study of shutout policies, and it so happens that in this case, they came to a conclusion that the regulated utilities and the municipal utilities, plus the advocates, all agree on this process to address the issues on the issues of shutoff, and they're all supportive of this bill approach. Madam President, it's interesting to know that Virginia is only one of 7 states in the whole country that has no formal shutout policy in the case of recipients of utilities services as a result of unpaid bills. And so this will, for the first time, create a shutoff policy that all would agree on. Interestingly, Madam President, as I mentioned, only 7 states, including Virginia, do not have a formal shutoff policy. But nearby West Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Maryland all have formal shutoff policies, and so that customers are protected in the event of they cannot pay their bills during the course of extreme weather. So I hope that the body would agree that all the utilities are in support of this idea as a process to come up with a formal policy for Virginia, so we wouldn't be the only one of 7 states against having short shutoff policies. With that recommendation, Madam President, I move this bill pass.
Chair recognizes Senator Obenshain, the gentleman from Rockingham.
Madam President, speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I hope that the members will take a look at this. While there may not have been voiced opposition from utilities, I think the degree of their support may have varied. You know, we've come through a very difficult time over the past couple of years, and we have had ratepayers who have had to endure increasing rates for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons has been the moratoriums on disconnecting or cutting off service for non-payment, and it has shifted millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of the burden to other ratepayers. And what I would suggest is this bill, I would point out, applies during a variety of times. During states of emergency. If we have another state of emergency, this will provide a moratorium without regard to the nature of the emergency. It applies on Fridays, it applies on weekends, it applies on holidays, it applies on the days before those, it applies when it's hot, and it applies when it's cold. I just think that this bears another look, and I would hope that members would look at enough and vote no.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 24, noes 15.
Ayes 24, noes 15. The bill passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on second reading.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I would request and move that we stand in recess for 15 minutes.
Without objection, the Senate is in recess for 15 minutes.
And I would ask that our caucus go to the back room. Thank you.
Chair calls on the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Turning now to page 12, Madam President, I move that all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 12 through 31, that's Senate Bill 1524, excuse me, through Senate Bill 1525. That can't be right.
It is. It is right.
It is right. All right. Be advanced to their engrossment in third reading in a block after the adoption of the amendments thereto. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 12 through 31, Senate Bills 1524 through Senate Bills 1525, be engrossed and advanced to their third reading in the block after the adoption of the amendments thereto, that any senator desiring a bill to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 1524, reported from the Committee on Local Government with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Rouse, the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Rouse.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. This bill is in the block.
Senate Bill 784, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute, and reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Locke, the gentlelady from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that it be rejected, I move that the substitute from the Committee on the Judiciary be agreed to.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the substitute from Judiciary be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The substitute is rejected. Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move that the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute from Senate Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 796, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 865, reported from the Committee on Transportation with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Cosgrove, the senior senator from Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that we adopt the amendments from the Transportation Committee.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be accepted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are accepted.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 890, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 897, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Stewart, the gentleman from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move that the substitute from Ag Committee be adopted.
The question is, shall the substitute from Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 899, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 935, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 955, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 959, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Hanger, the gentleman from Augusta. The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 963, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam President. I move that the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1013, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards, the gentleman from Roanoke City.
The substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1038, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the amendments be agreed to.
Question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Senate Bill 1050, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with the substitute.
Chair recognizes again Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1057, reported from the Committee on Transportation with a substitute, from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute, and we do have a floor substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Hanger, the gentleman from Augusta.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that it be rejected, I move passage of the substitute from the Committee on Transportation.
All right, we'll take those one at a time. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Transportation be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute from the Committee on Transportation is rejected.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that it be rejected, I move the passage of the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute...
No. No.
I'm sorry, you're rejecting the committee substitute. Let me restate the question, sir. Forgive me. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The substitute is rejected.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we waive the reading of the floor substitute. Oh, here, let me get it.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? Those in favor of waiving the reading of the floor substitute will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The reading of the floor substitute is waived.
Thank
Senator
you, Madam
Hanger.
President. This bill deals with farm use placards that will be required for vehicles that are properly exempt from having to have the regular license plates displayed. The floor substitute is actually just a technical rearrangement of the wording to accomplish the intended purpose that the Senate staff on Appropriation Finance decided would be better wording, and so I move passage of the substitute.
The question is, shall the floor substitute be accepted? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is accepted.
Senate Bill 1074, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Stewart, the gentleman from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the amendments be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Senate Bill 1082, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeStaff.
Madam President, move the committee substitute, please.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is quietly agreed to.
Senate Bill 1122, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes again Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1130, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senior senator from Chesterfield.
Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move the committee substitute from the Committee on Education and Health.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the substitute from the Committee on Education and Health be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. No. The substitute is rejected. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations now be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1134, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1137, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations, and there is one floor amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the gentleman from Fairfax City.
I might speak to the amendment. I move to waive the read of the floor amendment.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? Those in favor of waiving the reading will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The reading of the floor amendment is waived.
Thank you, Madam President. This came up in a subcommittee meeting we had in Finance actually this morning. Turns out there's a significant fiscal impact of this bill. I advised the Senate Finance folks and asked if we just put the clause on this bill.
The question is, shall the floor amendment be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor amendment is accepted.
Senate Bill 1144, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments, from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations, and we do have a floor substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that the committee amendments be rejected, I move the amendments be agreed to.
You want the substitute. Let's take that one at a time then. With the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the committee amendments from the judiciary be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. No. Committee amendments are rejected. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the waive the reading of the floor substitute.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? Those in favor of waiving the reading will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The reading of the floor amendment is waived.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the adoption of the floor substitute and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So the floor substitute incorporates the amendments from Judiciary from the gentleman from King George that we didn't necessarily follow through with. It also incorporates comments to have peace in the valley from the financial institutions that have been agreed to by the elder law attorneys that they were not able necessarily to testify in subcommittee that we've agreed to. It just didn't get picked up in full in the process, Madam President, and so the floor substitute before you takes care of those items and therefore move its adoption.
The question is, shall the floor substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1145, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes again Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the floor, just the substitute be agreed to. Thank you.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1168. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Uncontested calendar. Senate Bill 1178. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the gentleman from Accomack.
Madam President, move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1195. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1202. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1235. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Obenshain, the gentleman from Rockingham County.
Madam President, I move the general laws substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute from General Laws and Technology be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1258, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the gentlelady from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1328, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator McClellan, the senior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1345, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1392, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the gentleman from Accomack.
Madam President, move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1422, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Pillion, the gentleman from Washington.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1431, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments, and there are 3 floor amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Somerville, the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move to waive reading of, first of all, I'd move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Somerville.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move to waive reading of the floor amendment.
Question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? Those in favor of waiving the reading will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The reading of the floor amendments are waived.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move the floor amendment. Speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This bill has to do with the recall of local elected officials, and the floor amendment that's in front of you is a technical correction that was picked up by DLS staff right at the end of the committee hearing. And basically what it does is, I didn't realize this, but a local registrar can be removed through the same process that a local elected official can be removed. And because the new bill makes clear how signatures are reviewed for a removal process, the registrar removes signatures. But the registrar should not be reviewing signatures if the registrar is the subject of the removal. This just makes clear who is involved in that process if the registrar is the subject of the removal instead of a local government official. And so DLS thought we ought to make this clarification. That's what it does.
The question is, shall the floor amendments be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor amendments are accepted.
Senate Bill 1453, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1454, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 1501, reported for the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Stewart, the gentleman from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendments be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Senate Bill 1514, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections. Senate Bill 1525, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes the junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the amendments be agreed to. The substitute be agreed to. Thank you.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. The question now is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed in advance to their third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed in advance to their third reading. Senator Saslaw, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Madam President, excuse me, I move that all Senate bills now on third reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 12 through 31, Senate Bill 1524 through Senate Bill 1525, that the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the third reading of the titles of the bills be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. The bills are now on final passage before the Senate. Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate bills now on third reading of the uncontested calendar, pages 12 through 31, Senate Bill 1524 through Senate Bill 1525, that they be placed on their final passage in a block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested third calendar, pages 12 through 31, Senate Bills 1524 through Senate Bill 1525, be placed upon their final passage in the block, with the understanding that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 1524, Senate Bill 784, Senate Bill 796, Senate Bill 865, Senate Bill 890, Senate Bill 897, Senate Bill 899, Senate Bill 935, Senate Bill 955, Senate Bill 959, Senate Bill 963, Senate Bill 1013, Senate Bill 1038, Senate Bill 1050, Senate Bill 1057, Senate Bill 1074, Senate Bill 1082, Senate Bill 1122, Senate Bill 1130, Senate Bill 1134, Senate Bill 1137.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Spotsylvania rise?
Could Senate Bill 1137 come out of the block, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1137 is out of the block.
Senate Bill 1144. Senate Bill 1145. Senate Bill 1168. Senate Bill 1178. Senate Bill 1195. Senate Bill 1202. Senate Bill 1235. Senate Bill 1258. Senate Bill 1328.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Roanoke County rise?
Thank you, Madam President. Can Senate Bill 1258 please come out of the block?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1258 is out of the block.
And Madam President.
The senator may continue.
And can also Senate Bill 1328 come out of the block?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1328. What page is that, sir?
Page
27.
Senate Bill 1345. Senate Bill 1392. Senate Bill 1422. Senate Bill 1431. Senate Bill 1453. Senate Bill 1454. Senate Bill 1501. Senate Bill 1514. Senate Bill 1525.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Surville, the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Could Senate Bill 1431, which is my bill, come out of the block and go by for the day so I can just look at it really quick based on a question I got?
1431, sir. What page?
Page 29, ma'am.
29. Thank you, sir. Without objection. The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? That is, all bills except for Senate Bill 1137, page 22, Senate Bill 1258, page 27, Senate Bill 1328, page 27, and finally Senate Bill 1431 on page 29. All in favor of passage of the bills will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Returning to page 22, Senate Bill 1137.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Boy, the motions of my words are slowing down, and it's probably appropriate because we're talking about Fredericksburg Area Transportation Authority, where everything slows down. And you know, the adage in the area is Fredericksburg is an hour away from Fredericksburg, and it's very true. And Madam President, this sets up within the area planning district a transportation authority. It does so much in the fashion of the Hampton Roads Area Transit Authority, and so compliments to those who worked on that, and those who worked on that know it's not easy with multi-jurisdictional agreement. But at some point, there's a tremendous need for a river crossing. There's a tremendous need for intersection improvements. Anything that happens on 95 backs up immediately throughout all these communities. Anybody who try to divert on Route 1 or through Fredericksburg knows it backs up, and it's hours and hours sometimes. And these are the needed improvements, Madam President, that hit the quality of life. We talk a lot about why people move away to different areas. Well, quality of life and traffic is one of those ones that really hits home. It also would help to fund the transit improvements. We've got Veery and Longbridge coming into the area, which is going to be a big help to us. And, you know, I'd hope that the body would support the measure. It's one of those things that I think is long overdue, and the area is certainly in need of it, Madam President. And I know that there's probably a few folks also in the area delegation that may have some disagreement, much like the localities do. And I think those in the Hampton Roads probably experienced a similar thing where several localities agreed to something and others did not. But this gets the ball rolling, Madam President. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm a little bit taken aback by this because I'm not aware that anybody I represent in that region wants this. and certainly no one's reached out to me. I'm aware that King George doesn't want it. I've specifically been reached out to by Caroline. I've talked to Stafford. They are equivocating and won't take a position. But some of the citizens that I represent have found out about this, and they're not happy about it one bit. I know Spotsylvania has taken a position against it. I'm aware that the city of Fredericksburg may support a position like this. But, you know, one of the things I try to do, having been here before, is when something affects a particular legislator's region, I typically go to them and talk to them before I bring a bill that levies additional taxes on that legislator's region before I bring that bill. And that really is why I was taken aback by this, because I represent the region, the senator from Spotsylvania represents the region, the senator from Hanover represents the region, and none of us knew anything about it. Now, I know the gentleman is well-intended and he wants to get some money back that was taken away as a result of the deal made for Hampton Roads, the recordation tax. But here's what we're going to do. You're going to actually levy an additional tax on top of what they're already levied and what's been taken away from them from the recordation tax. Then there's an additional transient occupancy tax. They're only going to get a sliver of that back, and the rest of it's going to go into the state fund. And so the people that I represent are now going to get doubly levied upon. They're not even going to get all of the money from it. And even if they did, it wouldn't fix that problem of that chokehold. And we have the hot lanes going through there. There are other things, and it's a horrible choke. There's no question about it, because it's a very popular area and we have so much out-of-state traffic coming through. Which brings up another point. Why should we levy more and more money against those citizens who have to live there every day when that should be an obligation that the state and the federal government take on, because it is interstate traffic down 95? I do wish the gentleman had talked to me about this before he brought this bill. And I would have offered him the same courtesy if I had brought a bill for up in Prince William. And I actually represent areas up in Prince William, and I still would have given him that courtesy. And I hope that you all will please not support this bill.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I've had the pleasure to represent Stafford County now since...
The senator has the floor.
Sorry. Speaking to the bill. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I've had the pleasure to represent Stafford County now, part of it at least, for since about 2016 when I took my oath. And one of my first introductions to the area, I was invited by the Fredericksburg Area Chamber of Commerce to come down and meet with 10 business owners who were a member of, they had a transportation advisory committee made up of business owners. I remember one was a large moving company. There's a couple home developers, a couple other businesses, and they told me their number one request was to get a regional taxing district to start funding transportation projects in the Fredericksburg region. And I was there with, I think, about 5 other legislators. I don't think the senator from King George was there, but there were others. And I was the only one that was supportive. At the time, I was the only Democrat representing the area. That's changed since then. But that was the business community's number one request, getting more money for transportation for Fredericksburg. And this is, of course, before the FedEx deal was cut by Governor McAuliffe that extended the hot lanes, which for the construction that you see that's currently going on over I-95 was before some other VRE improvements that we've been able to secure. Governor McAuliffe, I would say, was able to secure. But that was the number one request. And I remember at the time, they said, well, Northern Virginia has a district, Hampton Roads has a district. Since that time, Richmond got a district. Since that time, I-81 got a district. The only part of the state that doesn't have a district is the fastest growing part of Virginia. Fredericksburg right now, if you look at the census, is the fastest growing part of the state. but they don't have the resources they need in order to construct the infrastructure that's necessary to not only handle that growth, but deal with future growth and encourage the future development that's coming. And I believe Senator King George is right. Some of the local governments there are kind of knotted up in a pretzel about this. But I'll also tell you that because they don't have this district, Stafford County, which I'm most familiar with, has been having to use their local bonding authority to pay for roads instead of being able to fund their school construction, which is kind of how we do things in most of our Northern Virginia localities.
Madam President, will the gentleman yield for a question?
I'll yield as soon as I finish my point. But in Northern Virginia, most of the local governments use their bonding authority to pay for school construction, and they rely on the Regional Transit Authority to pay for the roads. And so I would submit that for this area to have the same kind of quality of services that we see in the other parts of the state, this is an absolutely essential tool that they need in order to meet their community's needs. And Madam President, I hope we pass it. And having said that, I'd be happy to yield.
Chair recognizes Senator Reeves.
Madam President,
I'm sorry.
I was hoping I could ask.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't see you standing there.
Thank you, Madam President. The gentleman brought up the bonding authority, and I would ask the gentleman, in fact, they did issue a bond recently, and it was a very specific bond, but in fact, didn't they go to the voters with regard to that first with specificity about what was going to be done, what it would cost, and how they would be responsible for it?
Yeah.
Senator Saraville has the floor.
Yeah, Madam President, I would say they absolutely did. And that's kind of how bonds work. I would say, though, that they had to do that because that was their only way to get any more money into the transportation infrastructure down there, because their project, they just don't have enough, there's not enough projects that'll be competitive under smart scale to get funded. And so if they want to see, for example, the improvements that you see on Garrisonville Road that are happening right now on Route 610, some of these other places, they have to use money that should be going to schools, but instead they're having to put it into roads because that's their only alternative. And I would submit that if we had this district, they wouldn't have to make that choice.
Madam President. Gentleman yield for another question.
Will the gentleman yield for another question?
I'll yield.
Senator Saraville yields.
I would ask the gentleman, does not, in fact, parts of that region already have an additional gas tax built into the gas price?
Senator Saraville
for that region
has the floor.
Madam Chairman, I'm not sure which gas tax he's talking about. If he's talking about the gas taxes for Metro, I don't believe so, because I don't believe they're part of the WMATA compact, but...
Clarification, Senator Stewart.
Yes, Madam President. Isn't there an additional levy on gas tax in that region to support local transportation projects?
Senator Saraville.
Madam President, I can't answer that question, but I can tell you that they are using local general fund obligated bonds to fund construction that most of the rest of Northern Virginia uses to fund schools.
Senator Reeves, the gentleman from Spotsylvania.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I would associate my comments along with Senator Stewart's comments that I was not aware of this. And my phone's been blowing up since we've been talking about it. And I can tell you that the folks from the Fredericksburg Chamber, of which we discussed this before we came into session this year, that they would certainly like to have an opportunity to vote on something as taxpayers, but they certainly don't want it shoved down to them without getting a bigger consensus. Their vision had been to gather stakeholders to hash out that kind of stuff. Quote from the person in charge of the Fredericksburg Chamber. I will tell you that Delegate Orrick, Delegate Durant as well, were at that same chamber meeting, and we talked about this. And to answer Senator Stewart's question to the senator from Fairfax, yes, there is an additional tax already there. And so I think we're going to be surprising my voters, Senator Stewart's voters, Delegate Durant's voters, Delegate Orrock's voters by laying this additional tax on them. I don't think we should vote for the bill.
Chair again recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. If no one else wishes to speak.
No, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. We'll wrap up here real quick as my seatmate reminds me something about CSO and Alexandria. But I really hope it is for those who we've all voted for and supported each other's to help each other's regions. whether it be Hampton Roads or other areas, because it is a greatly needed impact to the community. The fact is that there are many in support, both the chambers, the senator from Eastern Fairfax indicated, and others in the community to move this forward. It's an important, and these folks know the adage that Fredericksburg is an hour away from Fredericksburg, and it is this that impacts the quality of life so drastically, and the reason why this is needed, and ask for its passage. Thank you.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Newman, the gentleman from Bedford.
Would the gentleman resume the floor for the purpose of the question?
Will the senator rise for a question?
I yield.
Gentleman from Prince William rises. Senator Newman has the floor.
As you know, I've supported this in committee. What I didn't ask and what I should have asked is what localities that are going to be covered are supportive and voted in support, and what localities that are going to be in the district are not supportive and maybe the ones that you don't know.
Sure.
Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. So I know certainly the city of Fredericksburg and the chamber, which covers the area. It's not just the city of Fredericksburg, the chamber covering the area. And also the Stafford board members, I guess, have taken a neutral position and not opposition just because of the different dynamics. And so I think it's very much like Hampton Roads and others where you had some that agreed and some that disagreed. And that occasionally happens within regional transportation authorities as things like these begin to set out.
Senator Newman.
Madam President, and I should have asked this in committee before I got here, but are there localities that will be affected? I yield. I apologize. Would the gentleman yield?
The gentleman yields.
Are there localities that are not supportive?
Senator McPike.
Madam President, I would respond to the gentleman that it's my understanding, although I have not received any official opposition from them, but I will take the word from the senator from King George that King George and Caroline and the gentleman from Spotsylvania, that Spotsylvania would be opposed, although I have not received any communication from those localities on opposition.
Madam President, last question.
Further questions? The gentleman yields. Senator Newman has the floor.
Madam President, I'd ask the gentleman, what are the localities that we don't know that would be affected?
Senator McPike has the floor.
Madam President, I believe that is the list.
Okay, great.
In the planning district.
Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Stewart, the gentleman from King George.
Maybe one.
Madam President, thank you. If no one else wishes to speak, I would like to.
The senator has the floor.
I've got to correct a couple things, Madam President, and the gentleman from Prince William should listen to this rather than talking to the senator from Fairfax. The Fredericksburg Chamber has texted us to tell us they do not support this. And let me repeat that. The Fredericksburg Chamber of Commerce does not support this. Stafford has not taken a vote. They're anticipated to take a vote next week, but nobody in Stafford or on the board, which I represent, the vast part of Stafford County, and I think the senator from Eastern Fairfax has like a little thimble up in the northeast corner. Yeah, 5 people, 4 precincts. Madam President, what I'm asking is this, and I appreciate the gentleman's comments that says we want to help each other in their regions. And I want you to help us in our regions just as I help you in your regions. But will you wait until I ask for your help and don't do it unless we do?
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 18.
Ayes 20, noes 18. The bill passes. I'm sorry, this bill needs 21 votes because it has a taxing authority. So the bill fails.
Returning to page 27, Senate Bill 1258.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the gentlelady from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 1258, Madam President, adds entertainment arena to the definition of public facilities for the purpose of allowing a locality to collect sales tax revenues generated by transactions at such a facility, provided that a locality owns wholly the facility partly and contributes to financing its construction. My earliest recollection of such a tax and authority, Madam President, was when the Renaissance Hotel was built in Portsmouth, and we were able to use some of those sales tax from the construction for the purpose of financing the project. And so I hope that answers the question that was asked by the senator from. Madam President, I move that the bill pass.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond City.
Thank you, Madam President. First, a point of parliamentary inquiry. Is this in a position to pass now, or is it in a...
Yes, sir. It is on final passage.
Would the gentlelady yield for question?
Will the gentlelady yield?
I yield. Not so gentle all the time, but I yield.
The gentlelady yields. Senator Morrissey has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask the gentlelady from Portsmouth, the entertainment arena that you're talking about, what is the facility?
Well,
Senator Lucas has the floor.
I'm sorry, Madam President. Madam President, I would respond to the gentleman, to the junior senator from
Richmond City.
Richmond City, as saying that the city of Portsmouth has created an entertainment district, and the intent is to build a hotel in the Victory Village area, but this also applies to the city of Norfolk. As a matter of fact, I was asked to carry the bill by the city of Norfolk, but it also applies to the city of Norfolk, Chesapeake, and I believe it's going to be, does it affect Hampton? I'm not sure. But a lot of the localities within the 757.
Would the gentlelady yield for another question?
Will the gentlelady yield?
Madam President, I yield.
Can the gentlelady explain with specificity what exactly we're going to do with the sales tax revenue? Are we giving somebody a break? Are we adding, are we redirecting sales revenue? What exactly does this bill do? And thank you for your patience.
Senator Lucas has the floor.
Madam President, what the sales tax will be used for is to help with the construction of the entertainment facility. And I know that the city of Norfolk intends to build a facility, which is the reason why the bill was even introduced in the first place. It's for the city of Norfolk, but other localities will be able to use this same mechanism.
Would the gentlelady yield for another question?
Further question,
Madam
Senator.
President, I will be happy to yield.
The gentlelady yields. Senator Morrissey has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Is this a TIF district that we're talking about?
Is it
a TIF?
A TIF. Senator Lucas has the floor.
Madam President, it was not referred to as a TIF. It was referred to as the tax collected on the transactions at the facility for the purpose of helping to finance the facility, much like what we did with the Renaissance Hotel.
Clarification?
Final question.
Final question. Senator Lucas, will you yield?
Yes, ma'am. I
Senator yields. Senator Morrissey has the floor.
We had a similar I'm wondering if this is similar to what they tried to do in Richmond. They tried to establish a downtown district to build a coliseum, and it was going to be financed over the entire 30 years with revenue that was raised vis-a-vis taxes would pay down that debt service. And the people rejected it. Is that what this is? That's a TIF.
Senator Lucas.
Madam President, I will respond to the gentleman from Richmond City. I have no clue what goes on in Richmond. I have 11 localities, and I try to tend to my own business and stay out of others.
I thank the lady.
Senator Morrissey.
I thank the lady.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 28, noes 10.
Ayes 28, noes 10. The bill passes.
Again, on page 27, Senate Bill 1328.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Richmond, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass. And speaking to that,
the senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 1328, it makes 3 minor changes to the process to initiate a recall petition, all having to do with the collection of petition signatures to begin that process. First, it increases the threshold required from 10% to 30% of the votes cast in the last election for office, which would make it a little more consistent with how many signatures you would need to get on the ballot if you were running for office, and consistent with the process in other states. Second, it puts a time limit on collecting signatures of 90 days, similar to the amount of time you have to collect signatures to get on the ballot. And third, it has a blackout window for the initiation of a recall when you're close to when an election would occur. So you cannot begin collecting petitions to initiate a recall within 75 days prior to a primary or other nominating contest through the general election, or within up to 30 days after someone has been sworn into office, basically so that you will not initiate a recall as soon as someone's been elected, or close enough to a primary that it would be moot because people can just vote you out of office. With that, I move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 7.
Ayes 31, no 7. The bill passes.
On page 29, oops, file for the day, sorry. On page 32, regular calendar Senate bills on second reading.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that Senate Bill 1265 go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 1265 goes by for the day.
A bill relating to petition for modification of sentence eligibility procedures. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the gentleman from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Fairfax City. Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adopt the committee amendments.
Thank you, sir. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are adopted.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill be engrossed and moved along to third reading.
Question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 951, a bill relating to uninsured motorist fee repeal. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Ruff, the gentleman from Mecklenburg.
I move the bill be engrossed and passed its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1033, a bill relating to appointment of guardian ad litem for minor witness. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third read.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1077, a bill relating to Richard Bland College governance. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes.
I'm sorry, from the Committee on Education and Health with substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Mecklenburg, Senator Ruff, the gentleman from Mecklenburg.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Ruff.
I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1085, a bill relating to motor vehicle exhaust systems, aftermarket amplifying devices inspections, reported from the Committee on Transportation with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Eben, the gentleman from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be adopted.
The question is, shall the substitute be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Eben.
I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1088, a bill relating to workers' compensation, post-traumatic stress disorder incurred by dispatchers, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Chair recognizes again Senator Eben.
I move the committee amendments be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator Eben.
I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1106, a bill relating to Transportation Partnership Opportunity Fund, reported from the Committee on Transportation with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Newman, the gentleman from Bedford.
Madam President, we're still working with Legislative Services on the amendment that we spoke about in Senate Finance Committee, and therefore I would ask that the bill go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 1106 goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 1129, a bill relating to Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan effective date, reported for the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and there are two floor amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Hanger, the gentleman from Augusta.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to, and then your amendments go to that.
Madam Chair, with apologies, I actually, could that bill go by for the day? I need to talk with the senator about that.
Without objection.
Well, I know, but I need to amend the amendment.
Senate Bill 1129 goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 1152, a bill relating to wetlands exemption fee for federal government agencies, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Cosgrove. Chair recognizes Senator DeSteff, the senior senator from Virginia Beach.
I request the committee substitute be moved.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. Chair again recognizes Senator DeSteff.
Madam President, can we advance and engross the Senate Bill 1152 to its third constitutional reading? Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1208, a bill relating to the Virginia Economic Development Partnership Authority, Virginia-Taiwan Trade Office, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes the senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation to be rejected, I would now move the substitute.
from Commerce and Labor?
Commerce and Labor, yes, Madam President.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the substitute from Commerce and Labor be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The substitute from Commerce and Labor is rejected. Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. I would now make the motion to agree to the substitute from Finance and Appropriations.
The question is, shall the substitute from Finance and Appropriations be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute from Commerce and Labor is accepted. Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. Finally, I would ask that we engross and advance the bill to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is advanced and engrossed to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1209, a bill relating to charitable gaming temporary permits limitations, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes again Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. I will move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. I now would request the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1231, a bill relating to renewable energy, biomass-fired facilities, Department of Forestry Advisory Panel report. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the gentleman from Accomack.
Madam President, move adoption of the committee substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Lewis.
Move that the bill be engrossed and advanced on to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1300, a bill relating to requirements for public, primary, and secondary school teachers, annual trauma-informed care training program, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Deeds, the gentleman from Charlottesville.
I apologize. I was trying to learn about something else.
That's all right.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the committee amendments from the Committee on Education and Health.
The question is, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on Education and Health be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The amendments are accepted. Senator Deeds.
Now I move that we engross the bill and pass it on to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1361, a bill relating to parole board membership eligibility determination reports, reported from the Committee on Rules with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, we just pass this by temporarily.
Without objection, Senate Bill 1361 passes by temporarily.
Senate Bill 1365, a bill relating to local regulation of materials recovery facilities, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the gentleman from Accomack.
Madam President, I move adoption of the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Lewis.
Madam President, I move the bill be engrossed and advanced on to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1386, a bill relating to public institutions of higher education, Tuition and Financial Aid Dependency Override Application Form, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Deeds, the gentleman from Charlottesville.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the substitute from the Committee on Education and Health.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Now, Madam President, I move that we adopt the amendment from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The question is, shall the amendments from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Deeds.
And finally, I move that we engross the bill and pass it on to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1427, a bill relating to campaign finance, political action committees, certain large pre-election expenditures, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Sudelai, the gentleman from Roanoke County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Senate Bill 1427 go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 1427 goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 1438, a bill relating to agricultural land, ownership by foreign governments prohibited, report, emergency, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Stewart, the gentleman from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1464, a bill relating to Virginia Power Innovation Fund and Program created, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Obenshain, the gentleman from Rockingham.
Madam President, I move that the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1522, a bill relating to data centers and cloud computing sales tax exemption grant fund, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the gentleman from Southern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Senate Bill 1522 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1533, a bill relating to medical marijuana program, additional cultivation facility, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Deeds, the gentleman from Charlottesville.
Madam President, I move that SB 1533 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Returning to page 40, Senate Bill 1361.
Chair recognizes again Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, with the recommendation that the substitute from the Committee on Rules be rejected, I now move the substitute.
The question is, shall with the recommendation that the substitute from the Committee on Rules be rejected, shall it be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The substitute from the Committee on Rules is rejected. Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move the substitute be adopted. the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be adopted.
The question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations now be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations is agreed to. Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I now move that the bill be engrossed and passed along to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendars, that's pages 44 through 67, Senate Bill 818 through 1523, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 44 through 67, Senate Bills 818 through Senate Bill 1523 be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that those bills now go by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their second reading go by for the day? All in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate Joint Resolution on third reading. Senate Joint Resolution 231, proposing an amendment to Section 6-A of Article 10 of the Constitution of Virginia relating to real property tax exemptions surviving spouses of soldiers who died in the line of duty. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the resolution be agreed to and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution would propose, like we in the normal course of matters, a change to our Constitution. This is the first step to then change it, and we have to again pass it in the next session. What it would change is from instead of killed in action for those service members that have lost their lives, we would change it to who died in the line of duty. And Madam President, the reason why that's important is because there's very specific definitions of killed in action versus died in the line of duty. And so if you're a service member that was killed by a terrorist or auto accident, but not direct KIA in theater, those family members of the surviving family members do not qualify. And that's why it's important we change this part of our Constitution to make sure those families who are also covered that do not have a level one returning. And Madam President, I'd like to yield to the member from Spotsylvania County.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. I wish to thank the gentleman from Prince William. Madam President,
the senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This rights are wrong. On 9/11, the Pentagon was hit. A lot of people were killed that day, and would you believe it or not, they weren't covered. Their spouses weren't covered for their loved ones who died that day. So this goes to fix that wrong that happened that day. It includes those now. Some of them, unfortunately, Madam President, are no longer with us. But as we continue the war on terrorism where we see it, you saw this happen at Fort Hood, where the Army finally came out and awarded Purple Hearts and benefits and changed that when they finally linked that incident to terrorism. So I would like to thank the senator from Prince William for bringing this bill and ask the resolution pass.
The question is, shall the resolution be agreed to? Those in favor of agreeing to the resolution will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The resolution is agreed to.
Uncontested calendar, Senate joint resolutions on second reading. Senate joint resolution.
Chair calls on the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw. On page 68.
On the wrong page. Madam President, I move that all Senate joint resolutions on second reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 68 through 70, that's SJR 258 through SJR 276, be advanced to their engrossment and third reading in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto. Any senator desiring to remove a resolution from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the resolution.
The question is, shall all Senate joint resolutions on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 68 through 70, Senate joint resolutions 258 through Senate joint resolution 276 be engrossed and advanced to their third reading in the block after the adoption of the amendments thereto, and that any senator desiring a resolution to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the resolution. All in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number of the resolutions.
Senate Joint Resolution 258, reported from the Committee on Rules with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Hackworth, the gentleman from Tazewell.
Yes, Madam President, I move that the committee substitute be approved.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Hackworth.
Madam President, I ask that the Senate Joint Resolution 258 be engrossed and advanced as third constitutional reading.
The committee amendments.
The committee amendment, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Senate Joint Resolution 270, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Chair recognizes Senator Spruill, the gentleman from Northern Chesapeake.
Madam President, I move this go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Joint Resolution 270 goes by for the day. Out of the block and by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 271, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with an amendment.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Spruill.
271 go by for the day.
Without objection, SJR 271 is out of the block and by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 272, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Senator Spruill.
Madam President, I move that SJR 272 come out of the block and by for the day. Got it that time?
Without objection, Senate Joint Resolution 272 is also out of the block and by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 273, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with an amendment.
Senator Spruill.
Madam President, move the SJR 273 take it out of the block and by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Joint Resolution is out of the block and by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 276, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments. And
Madam President, I move that SJR 276 be out of the block and by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Joint Resolution 276 is out of the block and by for the day. Well, now, I'm just going to, yes. Yeah. question now, yes. The question now is, having only one bill in the block, we will solely ask the question on Senate Joint Resolution 258. Shall Senate Joint Resolution 258 be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading. Chair recognizes the senior senator from
Fairfax County.
Fairfax. I know, I'm trying to listen to two conversations.
Okay. I would move that SJR 276, that the rules be suspended.
We're not.
Let it go? Okay.
So it's not going.
Bye for the day.
Page 71. Regular calendar, Senate Joint Resolutions on second reading. Senate Joint Resolution 223, proposing an amendment to Section 1 of Article 2 of the Constitution of Virginia relating to qualification of voters' right to vote, persons not entitled to vote, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Chair recognizes Senator Locke, the gentlelady from Hampton.
Madam President, I move that Senate Joint Resolution 223 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall the resolution be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The resolution is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Joint Resolution 242, proposing the repeal of Section 15-A of Article 1 of the Constitution of Virginia relating to marriage, reported for the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Chair recognizes Senator Eben, the gentleman from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that SJR 242 be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
The question is, shall SJR 242 be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The resolution is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Joint Resolution 247, proposing an amendment to Section 6 of Article 10 of the Constitution of Virginia relating to tax and finance, exempt property, affordable housing tax exemptions, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections. And we have a floor substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senior senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we waive the reading of the floor substitute.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? Those agreeing to waiving the reading will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adopt the floor substitute, and speaking briefly to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This substitute is based on amendments and recommendations that came out of the subcommittee. We mistakenly, my apologies, we did not introduce it in the full committee as we should have done when it was heard in the full Committee on Privileges and Elections. So this merely corrects that concern, and the amendments to SJR 247 make it clear that the General Assembly may, by general law, authorize and prescribe restrictions and conditions and ensure that this tax relief is addressed to those individuals that are in need of it. There are income limits that can qualify the exemption, and it must be in the hands of current homeowners, and assessments are increased by, that have been increased by a prescribed percentage. So this floor substitute takes into consideration those necessary amendments that were discussed in the subcommittee. And with that, I move that we adopt the floor substitute.
The question is, shall the floor substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
I now move that SJR 247 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall the resolution now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The resolution is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Proposing an amendment of the Constitution of Virginia by adding in Article 1 a section numbered 11-A related to the fundamental right to reproductive freedom. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Chair recognizes Senator McClellan, the senior senator from Richmond.
Madam President, I move that the resolution be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
The question is, shall the resolution be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The resolution is engrossed and advanced to its third reading. Chair calls on the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Supplemental calendar number 1 for Friday, February the 3rd, 2023. Uncontested calendar. House bill on second reading. House Bill 1469, a bill relating to motor vehicle dealers, franchise agreements, sale or lease of new motor vehicles. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on first reading.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, this is the blue calendar, pages 2 through 40, SB 826 through 1532, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the House bills now on second reading, they're on first reading.
That was just one. The first by itself.
Blue calendar. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles on Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 2 through 40, Senate Bills 826 through Senate Bills 1532 be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator Saslaw.
I would now move that those bills go by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day. Senator Saslaw.
Supplemental calendar number 2, yellow calendar. Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Chair calls on the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I would move now that on supplemental calendar 2, all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, pages 1 through 5, Senate Bill 830 through Senate Bill 1388, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 1 through 5, Senate Bills 830 through Senate Bills 1388, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a long day.
It is.
The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator Saslaw.
I would now, Madam President, move that those said bills go by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their second reading go by for the day?
Uncontested.
All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate joint resolutions on first reading.
Chair recognizes Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate joint resolutions on first reading on the uncontested calendar, that's uncontested regular calendar, pages 5 and 6, that's SJR 228 through SJR 287, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles of the Senate joint resolutions on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 5 and 6, Senate joint resolutions 228 through Senate joint resolutions 287, be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The reading of the titles is waived. Senator Saslaw.
I would now move that those Senate joint resolutions go by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate joint resolutions on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their second reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolutions will go by for the day.
Supplemental calendar number 3, the pink.
I don't have a pink. Oh.
Joke. It's Friday.
Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I would inquire of the comedian up there. Does that complete all the calendars for today?
They're all done.
Amazing. All right.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Chair recognizes the senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And with apologies to my colleagues, and I ask for indulgence on this late Friday, but there's a story I want to share with everybody because I think it might bring you some degree of delight considering our discussions yesterday. But I have to go back 40 years. So 40 years ago, when I was a high school student in Georgia, I had an absolutely wonderful biology teacher. And this teacher was more of a friend to me than a teacher because she was just a few years older than I was. So when I graduated, we both went our separate ways. We lost touch over these past several decades, and I've been wanting to get back in touch with her. I've been looking for her on social media. I've tried Googling her name, but she has remained very, very hard to track down. So this morning, I was absolutely stunned and delighted to find in my district email box an email from her. So you might ask, how did she find me?
How?
Well, I'm happy to tell you how she found me. So it turns out that she now lives in Maryland, and just this morning, she happened to open up her Washington Post, and she read with a great deal of interest about a little town in Virginia. She was really interested in this little town in Virginia because her church has actually been to that town and has done some work to help the community and has brought resources and all other manners of assistance to this little town, the little town that we know as our beloved little town of Pound. So ironically, as she was reading that story with a great deal of interest, she also then stumbled upon my name. I was mentioned in that article because you may recall, my dear colleagues, that I was the only person that stood in opposition to the measure that revoked the charter of Pound last year. And as she read through the article, she was so delighted herself to see that her former student was now a member of this distinguished body. I am so incredibly happy to be reconnected to someone who was a dear friend, an excellent teacher, and a very supportive mentor. And so I rise to express my gratitude first to the town of Pound. And I also want to express my gratitude to the senator from Washington for his very fine bill, which helped to bring about this important and meaningful reunion between me and my high school teacher. Thank you, Madam President.
We thank the senator. Refreshes the soul. Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Hearing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Sunday, February 5th, the Finance and Appropriations Committee will meet at 4 p.m., Committee Room B, Pocahontas. Monday, February 6th, the Committee on Judiciary will meet at 9 a.m., Senate Room A, Pocahontas. This is a time change. 9 a.m., Monday in Senate Room A for Judiciary. The Committee on Local Governments will not meet. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. Senate Room 1 in the Capitol. The Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2 in the Capitol. The weekend weather report. Today will remain sunny and breezy with temperatures dropping into the low 30s with wind chill factor into the 20s. Saturday, Sunday and cold. Sunday, rain showers are possible. Temperatures will be in the upper 20s during the morning hours. So, roses are red, violets are blue. There are 11 shopping days left for you. Drive friendly.
Chair calls on Senator Locke, the gentlelady from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. Unless people are just dying to come in at noon on Monday, I had adjusted the schedule a tad bit for us to come in earlier. So caucuses will need to meet at 10:30.
Chair recognizes the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Locke.
It is Lucas.
I'm sorry. What did I say?
It's quite all right. It seems that people who stand in that well like to call us Lucas and Locke on others. But anyway, Madam President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 11 o'clock on Monday.
The question is, shall the Senate adjourn until 12 noon on Monday? 11? Lord help me. 11 noon on Monday. 11 noon. 11 o'clock on Monday. All those in favor of adjourning till 11 on Monday will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate will stand adjourned until 11 a.m. Monday.